There's a particular kind of tired that comes from feeling like you're not enough. Not just once, not on a bad day, but in a way that sits under everything you do, like a low hum you can't turn off. You can be doing all the right things and still feel it. Showing up, trying, caring. And yet there's this sense that something about you falls short. That if people really saw you, they'd eventually realize you're missing something important. It doesn't always feel loud. Sometimes it's quiet and almost reasonable. A thought that slips in when you make a mistake, or when someone pulls away, or when you notice how easily others seem to belong while you're still figuring out where you fit. You might replay moments in your head, things you said, things you didn't say, wondering if you were too much or not enough, or somehow both at the same time. You tell yourself not to think this way, but the feeling doesn't listen to logic. It can make you work harder than you need to. It can make you stay quiet when you want to speak. It can make you say yes when your body is already tired of saying yes. All because some part of you believes you need to earn your place. And what hurts is that you don't always know where this belief came from. You don't remember agreeing to it. You just woke up one day carrying it, like it's always been there. If this feels familiar, you're not weak for feeling it. You're not broken for questioning yourself. You're not failing at being human. You're just here, holding a belief that was probably placed in you long before you had the words to challenge it. And right now, that belief feels heavy. When you feel like you're not enough, you tend to stay where you shouldn't. Not because you don't notice the discomfort, but because leaving feels like proof that the fear was right all along. You tell yourself that if you just try a little harder, things will settle. That if you adjust yourself enough, you'll finally fit. So you stay quiet when something hurts. You stay agreeable when you're already stretched thin. You stay loyal to people who give you just enough to keep hoping, but not enough to feel secure. You convince yourself that this is patience or kindness or maturity. You rarely call it what it actually feels like: fear of being left behind. You might look back and wonder why you didn't walk away sooner, why you kept giving chances, why you kept lowering your expectations instead of questioning why they weren't being met. But at the time, staying felt safer than risking confirmation of what you already believed about yourself. Because if you leave, then what? Then you're alone. Then you have to sit with the idea that maybe you weren't chosen. And when you already feel like you're not enough, that thought can feel unbearable. So you stay longer than you wanted to, longer than felt right. You tell yourself it's temporary, that you'll speak up next time, that things will change once you prove you're worth the effort. You keep waiting for a moment where it finally clicks for them, where they see you clearly. There's often a quiet bargain being made here. If you're easy enough, useful enough, understanding enough, maybe you'll be allowed to stay. Maybe you won't be too much. Maybe you won't be overlooked. You don't always realize how much of yourself you're trading away in the process. You just know that leaving feels like giving up, and staying feels like at least having a chance. So you stay. And that choice makes sense, even if it costs you more than you expected. Feeling like you're not enough doesn't just hurt emotionally. It costs you in small, steady ways that add up over time. You might not notice it at first because you're used to pushing through, but the tiredness gets deeper. Not the kind that sleep fixes, the kind that makes everything feel heavier than it should. You start second-guessing yourself more often. You hesitate before speaking. You replay conversations after they're over, wondering if you said too much or not enough. You catch yourself apologizing for things that don't really need an apology, for taking up space, for having needs, for existing a little too loudly. It can make you work harder than everyone else just to feel acceptable. You put more effort in, you care more, you give more, and somehow it still feels like you're one step behind, like you're always trying to catch up to some invisible standard you never agreed to. Over time, it wears down your trust in yourself. When something feels off, you don't listen right away. You tell yourself you're overreacting. You tell yourself you're being sensitive again. You start believing that other people's comfort matters more than your own sense of safety. There's a loneliness in this that's hard to explain. You can be surrounded by people and still feel unseen. You can be loved in theory and still feel replaceable. You might even wonder what it would be like to rest, really rest, without feeling like you have to earn it first. And maybe the hardest part is how normal this has started to feel. You don't always recognize it as pain anymore. It's just the background of your life. The way you talk to yourself, the way you brace for disappointment, the way you assume you'll be the one left behind if something goes wrong. This is the cost of carrying the belief that you're not enough, and you've been paying it quietly for a long time. At some point, something begins to change, but it's not dramatic. There's no clear moment where you decide to see yourself differently, no realization that suddenly fixes the way you feel. It starts much quieter than that. You just feel tired of fighting yourself. Not tired in a hopeless way, more like a deep, honest fatigue. The kind that comes from carrying the same thought for too long. The thought that you have to be better, smaller, easier, more impressive in order to deserve care. At some point, that thought becomes heavier than the fear it was protecting you from. You might notice it when you don't correct yourself right away, when you don't rush to explain why you feel the way you feel, when you let an awkward silence exist without filling it. These moments are small, almost unnoticeable, but they feel different inside your body. You start to feel how much energy it takes to keep proving yourself, how much attention it takes to constantly scan for signs that you're doing okay, that you're still accepted, that you haven't crossed some invisible line. And something in you quietly wonders what would happen if you stopped doing that for just a moment. This doesn't feel like confidence. It doesn't feel like self-love. It feels more like stepping back after holding something too tightly for too long. Your hands don't open all the way. They just loosen enough to breathe. You might still hear the old voice telling you you're not enough. It doesn't disappear, but it gets a little less convincing. Not because you've argued with it, but because you're too tired to keep letting it run everything. You don't push it away, you just don't obey it automatically anymore. There can be fear here too. If you're not trying to earn your place, then what holds you? If you stop performing, will anyone stay? Those questions don't have answers yet, and that's okay. You're not here to solve them. You're just noticing that constantly doubting yourself is costing you more than it's giving back. This is the smallest shift, not toward certainty, but toward honesty, toward admitting that living like you're never enough has been slowly draining you, and that maybe, just maybe, you don't want to keep living that way forever. Nothing is resolved here, but something is softened, and that matters. You're still you. Nothing about that has changed. You didn't wake up suddenly feeling worthy or confident or complete. You still have moments where the old thought comes back, the one that tells you you're not enough, the one that makes you scan rooms, conversations, relationships, looking for signs that you're falling short again. But something is different now. You're not running from that thought the way you used to. You're not rearranging yourself around it as quickly. When it shows up, you notice how familiar it is, how long it's been with you, how much it shaped the way you learned to survive. And instead of immediately believing it, you pause. You feel yourself standing a little more inside your own body. Not taller, not tougher, just more present. You notice when you're tired. You notice when something doesn't feel right. You notice when you're about to say yes out of fear instead of choice. And sometimes you stop yourself. Not every time, just enough to matter. You don't feel fearless. You still want to be liked. You still want to belong. You still care deeply about how people see you. But you're beginning to sense that being loved at the cost of losing yourself was never really love in the first place. And that truth doesn't feel empowering. It feels sad and relieving and honest. You might grieve the version of you who tried so hard to be enough for everyone, the one who carried that belief quietly and blamed themselves when things went wrong. That version of you wasn't weak. They were doing the best they could with what they believed was true at the time. And now, you're here. Not healed, not finished, but still here, still breathing, still capable of noticing when something hurts instead of dismissing it right away. Still able to sit with yourself without immediately deciding you're the problem. You don't have to prove anything in this moment. You don't have to become more. You don't have to fix the way you are. You can just exist as you are, without apologizing for it. That's not a victory. It's not a breakthrough. It's a place you can stand. This is where things are clear again.